Welcome to My Creative Corner 3, a podcast about quilting, crafting, creativity, with a dash of garden, chatting about current interests and life in my northern town. You can find show notes at mycreativecorner3.com. You can also find all of my social media, how to purchase a virtual cup of coffee, and all events on the website. Please feel free to stop by and leave a comment. I really appreciate everyone who listens. Thanks for stopping by. Welcome to the podcast. Hello, everyone. How's it going? Have you had a lovely June? Oh my goodness, this June has flown by so fast. Feels like we had the long spring, bam, summer came, 90 degrees when that heat dome hit the Great Lakes region. It was 90s early in the month. It's now back to more normal temperatures, and the garden is doing great with all the heat and all the rain in between. The blooms have been lovely, and I couldn't have asked for a better start to the growing season. So currently, I'm seeing that daylilies will probably be blooming soon, Shasta daisies. The peonies were great. The roses are blooming right now, a mock orange. It's a shrub that I have, and it's been here for a long time. So that's all looking great, growing wonderfully. And I even have the front porch looking pretty darn good. You know, the curb appeal project that I had going, I wound up not spending a lot of money for potted plants. I wanted two massive, oversized planters, but that just wasn't in the budget. So I found a really pretty pre-planted pot for, I don't know, $25 at Menards. A geranium that I've been nursing along overwintering in my heated garage now for 3 or 4 winters has been blooming. And then I found clearance petunias on $2, I think, and I shoved them in an old cookie jar, and I got a hanging bag full of creeping petunias for the entryway, which is actually on the side of the house. So Project Curb Appeal looks great. The plants that we have planted in the beds are really growing, and currently we have on the far corner of the front porch area, it is a rose bush. It's small, but it'll be big, and I need to buy a trellis for it probably next year. We cleaned up all of the weeds, and the lilac bush is next to the rose. Then you come around from the front porch to the side porch, and it's yucca, sedum, autumn joy, the large ones, yucca all the way down. The yuccas are really doing well, and since it got so hot so early, they're shooting up 6-foot tall flowers. So it's really made it look good, and the yard is looking good, the lawn area in the front. And in the back, it's filled in nicely. The clover has come up, and what plant and grass is back there is really looking good. I couldn't be happier with Project Curb Appeal and with the current condition of our outdoor space. So I haven't spent that much time out there with the weather being warm, but what we have been doing is my husband's had 2 Highland games, and that's where he puts on his kilt, and it's like a track meet. He's there all day and throws up to 8 events, 6 to 8 events. And this year in June, he went to Holland, Michigan for their Celtic Festival at the fairgrounds. Lovely. It was great. It was a huge amount of athletes. Very large venue on the grandstand area, and they had a nice festival part that's getting bigger and bigger every year. So what's really great about this venue is I can sit in our little canopy and watch the games, and I can hear all of the music in the entertainment tent. It's small enough I can get up and walk through the festival. And I bought my husband a cap because for the first time ever, he wound up working late on Friday, and we needed to drive down Friday. He packed his kilt and the lawn chairs, and we had all our food and all of that. We've been prepping for a week. He ran out the door, and he didn't realize he forgot his bag that has his hat and his belt for his kilt and his kilt, athletic socks and all the shoes. And he wore his new barefoot tennis shoes. And that's what he threw in. And I'll tell you what, he had a great game. He won third in his division. And our son came, who lives down in the area, and it was just a lovely afternoon. And it didn't get really hot. So no big sunburns, and everybody had a good time. The next day, while we were down there, my son was in Guys and Dolls. In the cast, he played the police officer. If you've ever watched the movie or the play, this was called Guys and Dolls in Concert. So they put abbreviated speaking lines, enough to tell the story with a narrator. And my son had quite a few lines as the police officer. And then in the back is like a choir for the, quote, chorus. And then the main people are up front. So we knew a lot of his friends who were in this play, and it was just absolutely lovely. There's nothing like live music and live local theater, even if it isn't Broadway. I'm telling you, I just loved it. So we had a great time, a great weekend. And usually the 4th of July, believe it or not, is coming right up. I have a long weekend, but we don't typically go anywhere. So I don't know that I'll be attending any more Highland games that he's going to be in for the season, because a lot of them are quite far from here. And I just need to really see how I'm feeling and see how hot it is, because the heat is not my friend these days. So I thought I'd catch you up on that. So it was a great weekend. Highland game in third place. All the troubles playing that game. And his judge quit or got sick. So he had to throw and be the judge of two groups. Oh my gosh. It was just kind of one of those deals. And the play, it just ended up being absolutely lovely. Took my son to breakfast and met some of his friends, and it was nice. It's nice to see your adult children doing well, especially if they've come through a couple troubled periods in their life, which everybody does as an adult. And he's doing well. My daughter is doing well. It's just really nice to see. We all as parents go through times of really worrying about our kids, and it's just the hardest job I've ever done, being a parent. So I just have to say, at this end of it, in the empty nest and transition period into retirement, which is about 4 or 5 years away for me if all goes well, it's been really good to see everyone having the life that they wanted and doing well. So I'm going to go on to the next section of the podcast, which is, what have I been making? Well, as you can tell by the title of this, I have been in a slump. Now, that doesn't mean I haven't been making things, because I have, and I have enough to talk about for the podcast today. But I have been in a creative slump, and I'm thoroughly convinced that it's because I had COVID again in the fall, and it takes me a long time to recover from it, and I am just now feeling back to being myself. And I think that's part of the creative slump. It's just like work was taking all of the energy that I had to do. I had a lot of pain, and I was able to work through some of that with physical therapy, but then I wound up having bursitis in my hip, so I got a cortisone shot for that, and it has made all the difference. All the difference is just really been great. So I have been sewing, and what really has me inspired is the Halloween mystery that's been happening over the last month at Fat Quarter Shop. Now, it's called Spooky and Sweet. All of the clues had been revealed, so you can go download the pattern for free. Use your scraps. It's only, it depends on what layout. That's the fun part. You can make it into a door banner, a vertical one. You could make it into a table runner, or you could choose to make it a square as a table topper or a wall hanging, which I've been working on door wall hangings for my work. So it's perfect size. It's probably 32 inches wide. I haven't put the borders on yet, but it's a little cute ghost who's going trick-or-treating. And there's 2 ghosts in costume with a couple of quilt stars worked into this to make it work out to the square or the table runner or banner. So the one ghost is dressed up as a little witch carrying her little pumpkin to get her candy. And the other ghost is a vampire. And they just have that super cute factor. The pieces are big enough that you can traditionally piece this. I use scraps that I had in my bin, which you know I absolutely love. And I just looked at the wall hanging, and the vampire still has a mistake in it. Oh, no. I've taken it apart already because Sharina noticed when I posted it that it had a mistake in the piecing before I put anything together. I always post pictures. And the pumpkin, first the handle was upside down. Well, now the pumpkin's upside down. Doggone it. I'm going to have to take it out again. Don't you love it when you make a mistake that you are able to catch before the final quilt stitches are put in? Anyway, Spooky and Sweet. It was a clue a week, and I thought that was perfect. Excuse me. The next thing is they're doing a free quilt along at Fat Quarter Shop, and it's also something that you can use as a scrap buster. It's bigger, though, because it takes 20 fat quarters and a background. So I've been going through my stash, and they're doing it in red and green, and I believe it's called Star of Wonder. So it's going to be stars. And the little tees that she showed looked like it would be star quilts in red and green. And I don't have a lot of red. So I pulled out the Horde. I've got a Lori Holt Prairie is the quilt line I have. I bought a Fat Quarter bundle, which has a lot of pinks and greens and reds in it. And I thought, maybe I'll finally bust that out and use it, which will still leave me plenty of that. Plus, I bought extra layer cakes and what are they called? Charm packs to go with. You know, Lori Holt stuff is really done in a color palette that you can mix and match the lines quite easily. So I'm doing Star of Wonder. Are you? Have you checked it out? The first clue will be released, I believe, next week. So you can download the fabric requirements right now and kind of go through your stash and see what they're suggesting. And you can kind of look at their color scheme, which is going to read Christmas, but you could really make it in any color, Kimberly said. I've been watching her faithfully as well as watching Halo Inspirations. I've checked in on her lives a few times. And she's got a lot of lovely things. The other thing is Christmas fabric lines and cross-stitch patterns are all being released soon for Christmas in July. Lots of cute stuff. And speaking of the Christmas fabric and things, the trend, it seems to be vintage nostalgic, like mid-century again, when the teals and reds, which I do like. But these are like really, maybe even older than mid-century, maybe more like 1930, that art in a more modern color palette of teal and reds. Just really cute. Super cute stuff out there. So the other thing that I've been sewing is I got that low volume 9 patches back out that I remember I found them in my orphan block bin, and I really liked a quilt I made a long time ago that was a free pattern on Fat Quarter Shop at one time because it was like promoting Tula Pink fabric, but I can't find it anymore. But basically it's a 9 patch with a chunky little frame. So then you set that framed 9 patch in a setting that's basically traditional cornerstones and sashing. And so I thought, I love that so much. I'm going to do that with these, but only have the 9 patches be those low volume ones that are really kind of an Art Nouveau-ish vibe in the florals with pinks and greens. And the background is a greenish tinge cream color. And so I've been going through my stash and my solids and blender colors and framing them with brighter greens and pinks that go with that color scheme. And so far, I've got several of the 12. I've got about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm halfway there. I'm poking along because I'm going through my stash as I sew. And that going through your stash and doing things scrappy, I'm sorry, it takes a lot longer. It's a lot more decision making and trying to not settle for something that would be close enough, right? I'm done being, if I'm going to spend all this time and money on it, I don't want to be close enough anymore. I want it to be the way I want it to look. And if that means I have to go buy a couple of fat quarters, then I will. I'll take this with me on a couple of my trips around and to quilt shops over the summer and vacations, and we'll see what I can find. I have knitted on my wrap so much. It's one of those sweater wraps, and I gotta look it up. The name is by Knititude, and I think it's called It's a Wrap. I'll have to pull it up while I'm talking. And it's really one of those things I've got to look up how it's put on every time because I can't remember it. And so I've been like trying it on and testing how long I need to make this because I just can't remember. And it's just really funny because I'm like, if I wrap it wrong, I'm going to have to make it twice as long because then I have double crossovers. So anyway, it's flat on one side of the wrap, and the way you twist it around and stick your hand through, it's basically a shawl, but with partial sleeves, you will be able to, have this sweater shawl is what they're calling it. And it's adorable. And it's the best knit project I've made. It's brainless. It's extremely zen and relaxing. I got a larger yarn and larger needles, which fit me well. And I am doing it in just stockinette stitching because I don't want drafts in a lace shawl because I want to wear it in this house when it's freezing cold. And I love the fact you can put your hands in the sleeves. So that part of it I'm really, really liking. So, oh boy. I found her feed, but I can't find the reel where she actually puts it on. Oh my gosh, why is everything so difficult for me? But anyway, I believe it's called It's a Wrap. Knititude, if you go to her Instagram page, you'll find it. And You'll see what I'm talking about. When you put an unfinished project on, you're like, you can't put it on exactly the way she shows you. But if you're an advanced knitter, all you would have to do is figure out your pattern if you wanted to make a lace one or anything else like that, because you just need to add ribbed cuffs for so many inches, depending on your body type and how much the gauge is on your yarn. I need a pattern because I am more of a, what do you call, I'm probably intermediate or a confident beginner, even though I've knitted many years and I've done many projects in the past. I've even done like cables and things, but that doesn't mean I remember how to do it now. I do things like that all the time, right? You do it and then you don't do it again for 20 years. You're never going to remember. So that's coming along. But I had a horrible realization as I'm coming to the end of my yarn that I need a lot more yarn to make it a comfortable, loose-fitting shawl. And I thought I'll just pop on and find it. No. That's not that easy. Of course, what I bought was a strawberry and cream, and it wasn't at the yarn shop that I bought it from. It's an Encore yarn, I think by Plymouth, and it's a wool blend. I had to scrub the internet looking for it, and sure enough, in Michigan, I found a place that had quite a few skeins of it, and I believe I have more than enough for the project. And if I'm lucky, I'll have a little bit left over, and maybe I could knit a hat or something fun. Cross stitch, I have not done anything in cross stitch, and I have not done any English paper piecing either. I have just been coming home and needing a Zen mindless project that, like the knitting, because I can do it and watch shows and not make mistakes. So that's what I've been up to in those departments. I'll be honest, I haven't even had an interest in painting or trying to do any doodling because it was too much brain power. But I have been inspired to get the cross stitch out because I saw the new Halloween tart tin ornaments. So every season for the last year or more, Fat Quarter Shop has done these. They have their own tart tins and sticky circles, and you can make these cute little ornaments. Now the ornaments you can put on a tree. She's done a line for Christmas. They also have done a line for Easter. They've done a line for hearts and things for Valentine's Day. And they've done a whole 12 line for fall, which was a set. I did half of those. I believe it was last year. And I used the tart tins for 6 of them. So I stitched 6. I still have fabric to do the other 6. And I think I might do those this fall. They are really cute. Well, they came out with Halloween. Oh my gosh, they're so adorable. So I am thinking about buying that pattern and doing a few fall, few Halloween. And the thing is, you could put them in the tart tins, or wouldn't it be fun to have like a black little fake tree, or I could use my tier tray. Or they've done a couple of other ways to display them as ornaments, like say on a bead bunting, or a bead garland. That's the word I'm looking for, and hang those in between. So lots of lots of ideas, lots of many. What is that? Not the English I was taught at school. So that is super cute. And then there was another really pretty Halloween one that I'm thinking about. They did a preview of a book Susan Aki did called Halloween Memories, and they look like they're all pin cushions. And I love making cross-stitch mini pillows that are designed to be pin cushions. But who's going to stick a pin in such a beautiful project? So if you haven't seen that, you should go to Fat Quarter Shop's blog, YouTube, or the store and just look at those things. They're really, really cute. I still haven't finished my stitch card. I think it was N as a gnome, a tulip, and two other things. So I'm on the third one, and I can't remember what it is. I haven't looked at it in so long. The other UFO I have is Halloween for cross stitch, and it was the Halloween freebie from Fat Quarter Shop last year, which said "Happy Haunting" with the orange full moon. I really need to get going on some of these projects. I'll be stitching Halloween all year long, which is nothing wrong with that. But I do want to, maybe do another season one day. But I really like cross-stitching Halloween. I don't know what it is. I think it's super fun. And I do like the Lori Holt stitch cards because they're small and you can get those. They're like instant gratification projects. You can pick them up, put them down, do one little motif. You string a bunch of motifs together for a sampler, kind of whatever. So it's just cross-stitch can take more brain power than I want to spend on it occasionally, so you don't make a mistake counting. This is where I'm very particular about the patterns I buy, because I also have several that are very small prints that I bought, and I won't do them because I can't read them, and I prefer them to be color patterns too. So if you're picky like me, don't settle. I'm too old to settle, and I refuse to do it anymore. So I have worked on those items. I have been inspired by those things, and I really do find watching YouTubers do trunk shows, little hauls or stores showing their lines. I really do enjoy that, and it is quite inspiring. So as you can tell, I'm still making things, and I think, to talk about being in a slump, I call them slumps. Some people call it losing your sojo or your creative mojo. But I think the key is picking where your creative energy can take you. And I really think that's the key to creativity and making projects, and not getting yourself all burnt out and discouraged and think that you have to be all in or all out. Those are all kind of, we want to call them thinking issues that are not based in accurate thoughts or tricks of your mind, so to speak. So, I really do think that doing something every day that interests you is important. Whether that's knitting a row or two, or sewing one seam, or I have long-armed wall hanging that my mom sent up while we met a month ago, and I got the last row to do on it with a border. And I've got a couple other quilts that I've taken on from people. So, getting that going again, having a little bit of accountability is also good. And deadlines, like a sew along or a stitch along. The other thing is looking for inspiration in different places, whether it's in nature or trying something new in crafting, or just maybe trying something new. Maybe it isn't crafting, but maybe it is something else. Maybe it's redecorating or trying a new outfit, hairstyle, makeup, or whatever you enjoy doing. Just change it up. Shake it up a little bit. We all get in ruts. That's the other part, right? A slump to me is more like feeling like you're uninspired and in a rut and just not able to even force yourself to do something. I've got lots of started projects or UFOs. I've got, I try not to have too many, but I have a lot of abandoned projects that just quit bringing me joy. And after many years, I dug out those low volumes, and it was like the perfect thing to try to finish. So those are all ideas and suggestions. It's nothing new. But the other part that I'm finding more and more accurate and true is taking care of myself. I've spent so many years taking care of other people as a nurse, taking care of my kids, taking care of my family, being a go-to person, right? You're the go-to person. I am the go-to person for a lot of people, for a lot of responsibilities, and I'm just kind of the go-to person. I don't know why. I kind of am. Maybe I solve problems. I like to solve problems. I'm pretty good at solving problems when I'm able to, right? So, take care of yourself. Don't feel bad about not getting 6 quilts done in a period of time or sewing anything for a period of time, because when you come back to it, it's all fresh and new, and you come back with the enthusiasm and the mindset of a beginner. And maybe I've lost skills and maybe I am a beginner again, right? There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it. But I do think that as you work on projects, you get better at them. And I get even better as I'm working through that particular project. And you find better ways to make it, maybe in a pattern. You find a way that you have figured out how to do it better than the way it was written. All of that stuff is about experimenting. It's about the process. Changing it up is very, very important. I think it's what gardening did for me this spring. It was new. It was a fresh, new growing season full of everything new and lots of possibilities. Same now that I'm looking at that same feeling with bringing new projects to the table, working on old projects. There's an enthusiasm. The other thing is I'm also trying to find an accountability group. And the one that I was going to, love y'all, little stitches, but you meet during the daytime and are not doing things I can participate in. So I'm going to go to the local quilt guild. They have an active Facebook group. They're working on a mystery. And God knows I love a good mystery, stars, and all of the things. And so I'm going to the July meeting. I'm setting an alarm in my phone so I don't forget. And they're doing a fat quarter exchange. You bring 6 to 8 fat quarters in a bag that nobody can see through. And then in August at the annual picnic, you'll get a bag back with 6 to 8 fat quarters. And then you have until December to make something or many things with the fat quarters you have been given and share with the group what you did. I love that idea. See, this is a challenge. It's fun. It's a puzzle. It's problems to solve. And I decided I'm going. And I'm clapping my hands and saying it 3 times. I'm putting it out in the universe because it's easy to go, yeah, but I can do these things at home. I'm going because I want to meet people and have accountability and a group where you can see and be challenged, see what others are doing, to be inspired, and come up with these goofy challenges. And maybe I'll get rid of 8 fat quarters that maybe I'm not so fond of and get some that are lovely. They could be hideous. Who knows? It's exciting. It could be a bunch of stuff that you can make and work into a really fun and interesting projects. They don't even have to be quilts. They can be projects, bags, placemats, curtains, who knows? You can do whatever you want. It doesn't sound like there's any rules to that. Anything goes. Ooh, I love that. So that kind of is a wrap on the creativity part. I haven't even really found anything great to watch on YouTube except for the lives and weekly shows by Fat Quarter Shop Floss Tube. I watched some Halo Inspiration. She's showing what her quilt shop's doing, as well as some of the quilt-alongs and things that are coming up that are absolutely phenomenal. And so the one show I've been watching that's new is called The Acolyte. It's a Star Wars live action show that Disney Plus has out. And I'm saying for what it is, and I'm not deep into the Star Wars canon, I'm just looking for brain candy to watch in the evening. It's pretty good. I'm not sure I'm a big fan of the 1 hour long form videos on some of the shows we've been watching. So I've been happy to see them swing back to long, medium, and short format videos. I mean, I like the farm shows, but I don't want to watch you plant corn for an hour, Cole the Corn Star. I'm sorry. It's background noise, but, the car show guys are keeping theirs at 20 to 30 minutes. I do like that, which is Goon Squad, and my favorite is V-Tune Garage, and just kind of always looking for new YouTubers. So the one I really like, and if you haven't watched them, this is great because they tell mostly the story of the property. It's called Irish Homestead, and they are restoring, not just rebuilding, but restoring 2 old stone buildings on an Irish plot of land that they're calling a homestead. They're homeschooling their kids, and they're raising chickens and things like that. They're living in like a trailer now, but he has a background in construction, and she's learning. She's actually gotten to be where she's quite handy in pointing all the stone with concrete, and they have an engineer with them. They're connecting 2 very old stone buildings that used to have thatched roofs, and they're going to make them into their one big family home. So it's been a great show. They're lovely people. They're very personable on camera, but it's a homemade show. You can tell it is not a professional group. He edits himself. They do their own camera. They even rescued a donkey who's really old, and I'm very invested into him doing well. They've had the vet out there from the donkey rescue, and they're trying to get a friend for him to have. And so it's been really fun to watch their adventures in Ireland. They are from England, but they're living in Ireland. So it's just been great. I love it. And if you like watching shows that's watching the story unfold, a little bit about restoration of these old stone buildings on the property, it's just lovely. And it's making me learn a little bit about I just love learning about how they build those old stone buildings. And this guy has enough of a construction background. He's not a stonemason, but man, I'm just liking that show an awful lot. And I've watched another one that's hit and miss, and I'm going to swear because that's in the name of the title. It's called Shit, We Bought a Farm. And it's this couple that's betting everything on this dilapidated stone farmhouse and former dairy. And they're also remodeling. They're not as personable and lovely people as the Irish Homestead, but it's still fun to watch, but it's hit and miss. Like I said, it's okay. And it's not my first favorite. And Time Team, of course, they're doing a series on doing some excavation at the famous Sutton Hoo National Site. They have been given permission to do some small excavation and a lot of geophysics, they call it, which is like using LiDAR and things like that. That is the burial mound site where they found the famous Sutton Hoo helmet of Anglo-Saxon period that was in, I think it's Anglo-Saxon or like Viking. I think Anglo-Saxon. Shows you how much I know about archaeology. I just love the show. But anyway, it was in a burial ship, and the ship was pretty much almost rotted away, and they were to get enough information that they knew exactly how they built that ship. And it was a long ship, like a Viking ship, and guess what they're doing? Part of the living history that the National Trust is investing is they are building that ship in close to as historically accurate as that burial ship, and they're going to actually try to sail it. So they're currently showing you the last couple of years project in building the ship, and I'm just like, I am enchanted by all of this. So that is Time Team on YouTube. So that's a wrap for this podcast. If there's any questions about some of the things I talked about, you can always go to the show notes, and I will put links to as many things as I can, including some of the patterns that I talked about, a couple of pictures of the Highland game, and some of the things that I talked about in that. You can always find us on Facebook in the group, My Creative Corner 3. I'm also on Instagram and Facebook under my name, Vicki Holloway. Love to see you in any of those places. And thank you so much for coming and listening to the podcast. And if you ever have questions or want to comment, you can always leave a show note. I thank everybody who has supported the channel, the virtual cup of coffees, those who have been using my affiliate link to Fat Quarter Shop, and all those who support Angel at Halo Inspirations Quilt Shop. Thank you very much. Have a great week, and I will talk to you again soon.